NBA Celtics and Thunder roll on. Lakers top Memphis in playoff push. Boston Celtics and Oklahoma City Thunder won as Los Angeles Lakers defeated Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA. The NBA champion Boston Celtics and Western Conference leaders Oklahoma City Thunder continued their march to the playoffs on Saturday as the Los Angeles Lakers bounced back with a win over the Memphis Grizzlies. Jason Tatum scored 29 points with 10 rebounds and 8 assists to propel the Celtics to their 8th straight victory, 1-2-1-1-1-1 over the Spurs in San Antonio. Tatum, back after missing one game with a sprained left ankle, led 7 Boston players to score in double figures, Jrue Holiday adding 21 points in the triumph. The Thunder rolled to their 9th straight victory behind 33 points, 7 rebounds and 8 assists from most valuable player contender Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Tyrese Haliburton scored 18 points for the Pacers, who led by 10 in the first quarter before the Thunder flipped the switch and cruised to a 132,111 victory. With 8 games remaining, Oklahoma City lead the Cleveland Cavaliers in the race for the best record in the league and home court advantage throughout the playoffs. The Lakers, coming off an agonizing loss to the Bulls on Josh Giddey's buzzer beater, claimed a key 134,127 victory over the Grizzlies that put them one game ahead of Memphis for 4th place in the West. The Lakers spoiled the debut of interim Memphis coach Twumasi Salo, who took over on Friday when the Grizzlies abruptly sacked Taylor Jenkins. Austin Reeves scored 31 points and handed out 8 assists for Los Angeles, who led an early 2-0 point lead getaway but managed to come back after the Grizzlies took a 111,107 lead early in the 4th quarter. Luka Doncic scored 29 points with 8 rebounds and 9 assists, including an alley-oop pass to LeBron James for a dunk. James finished with 25 points, 6 rebounds and 8 assists, and Lakers coach J.J. Redick said he was pleased with the poise his players showed after falling behind in the 4th quarter. Desmond Bane scored 29 points, Jaren Jackson Jr. added 24 and J.A. Morant, back from a 6-game injury absence, contributed 22 for Memphis, but the Grizzlies suffered their 3rd loss to the Lakers this season, giving Los Angeles the tiebreaker edge if needed in the playoff race. Nanan, we knew this was a big game for us, in the sense of how we lost the other night, said Reeves, who converted a 3-point play that pushed the Lakers' lead to 9 points with 121 remaining. So coming into this game it's obviously high intensity, Reeves said. And it's hard, last game of a road trip, you're pretty excited to go home. But for that 3 hours or whatever the game is, you've got to lock in. The Dallas Mavericks held off the Bulls 120,119 in Chicago to strengthen their position in the 3-team battle with Phoenix and Sacramento for the last 2 places in the Western Conference play-in tournament. Klay Thompson scored 20 points, P.J. Washington added 19 and Anthony Davis chipped in 18 for the Mavs, who led by 12 points with less than 3 minutes to play, only for the Bulls to close within 2. A pair of free throws from Thompson restored a 4-point cushion and the Mavs escaped. The Kings, meanwhile, fell 12,191 to the Magic in Orlando, where Paolo Banchero scored 24 points in 3 quarters for the Magic, who are neck and neck with Atlanta for 7th place in the East. The Bulls' defeat left them level on 3,341 with the Miami Heat as they jockey for position in the Eastern Conference play-in. The Heat, fueled by 30 points from Tyler Herro, notched their 4th straight victory, 11,895 over a Philadelphia 7-6 ERS team already out of playoff contention. Nan. Marc Marquez wins MotoGP Sprint in Texas to remain undefeated. Marc Marquez won the MotoGP Sprint at the Grand Prix of the Americas to extend his unbeaten start to the season. Ducati's Marc Marquez maintained his perfect start to the 2025 MotoGP season when the pole sitter won the Americas Grand Prix Sprint on Saturday to remain undefeated and extend his lead in the championship. Marquez had become the first rider to claim 8 poles at a single circuit when he set the fastest time in qualifying earlier on Saturday, and a 5th win in 5 sprints and races this season moved Marquez to 86 points. Marquez's brother and closest competitor Alex of Gresini Racing finished second once again, less than a second behind, to move up to 67 points, while factory Ducati teammate Francesco Bagnaia completed the podium. Too close. The track condition changed a lot with the warm temperature. On the first lap I was pushing in a normal way like this morning, but suddenly I realized that the grip of the track was worse, Mark said. It was super close, but it was a nice fight there against Pecco Bagnaia and Alex. But in the end, when I put my rhythm, I tried to control the gap. I did another mistake, but then I pushed again. So for tomorrow we need to work a bit on that rear, but apart from that the bike is working super good. Despite starting on the second row, it was Bagnaia who stormed off the line from 6th to take the lead into turn 1 and then again on turn 3 before Mark took the place back as the 2 Ducati teammates aggressively battled for position. Mark nearly lost control of his bike on lap 1, allowing Alex and Bagnaia to overtake him. But the pole sitter was in no mood to finish third, immediately regaining the lead with a daring overtake to set the tone for the sprint. But once Mark had clear air in front of him at the Circuit of the Americas, he peeled away with Alex in tow as the two brothers put some distance between themselves and Bagnaia in third. Alex tried his best to catch up, but Mark was in a league of his own and the younger brother was satisfied with second place. To be second here in Texas is like a win. If you're second after Mark, it's like a win because he's on another level, Alex said. Behind them, Fabio Quartararo was the lone Yamaha bravely jostling for position alongside the two Italian VR46 racing riders, Fabio Di Giannantonio and Franco Morbidelli. Quartararo, however, did not have the pace of the VR46 machines, especially on the long straights, as the Frenchman settled for 6th place with Ducati bikes completing the top 5. Nan. Aryna Sabalenka sinks Jessica Pegula to win Miami Open. Top-ranked Aryna Sabalenka overwhelmed American Jessica Pegula 75-62 to win the Miami Open, relying on her usual playbook and powerful forehand to win an 8th WTA 1000 title. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka powered her way to the Miami Open title on Saturday, beating American Jessica Pegula 75-62 in the WTA 1000 event at Hard Rock Stadium. The title was the Belarusian's first at Miami and her second of the season following her January triumph in Brisbane. Having lost the final at Indian Wells to Russian 17-year-old Mira Andreeva earlier this month, Sabalenka was determined not to fall at the last hurdle again. I'm super happy to have this trophy. I was able to play my best tennis in the final, said Sabalenka, who paid tribute to Pegula's performance after repeating her win over her from last year's US Open final. Both players struggled to hold their serve in the first set, which saw 7 breaks of serve, with Pegula causing Sabalenka some trouble when she brought her up to the net. But the momentum shifted when Pegula was serving to stay in the set at 65 down and Sabalenka turned it on, producing a delicate forehand drop and then a superb down-the-line winner to take the set. Once she recovered from being broken on her first service game of the second set, it was easier going for Sabalenka, whose bid for a third straight Australian Open title was thwarted in the Melbourne final by Madison Keys earlier this year. Sabalenka broke twice to go 31 up and never looked in danger from that point on as she wrapped up the win in 1 hour 27 minutes. I think I was able to completely forget about it being the final, about the outside things, and I was just so focused on the game, said Sabalenka. In her last 14 matches against top 10 players, Sabalenka has won 12 and she credited her ability in the clutch moments for her record. It is all about those key moments of the match, about playing aggressive and staying with the game plan. Going for shots without being afraid of losing the point, she said. It was the third time that Pegula has faced Sabalenka in a final and she has lost on all 3 occasions. I consider myself one of the world's best hard-court players, but she's probably the best, Pegula conceded after the match. Nan and she just keeps raising her level in key moments of the match when she needs to, and I feel like that was the big difference today and the last few times I have played her, she added. But Pegula, the world number 4, said she was pleased to again have been a serious contender in a tournament. Happy to be in another big 1000 final and having consistent results and keep going deep in tournaments. The reason we play is to put ourselves in good chances to win these events. I was able to do that the last couple weeks, she said. The 26-year-old Sabalenka has now won 8 WTA 1000 titles and 19 titles on the WTA Tour overall, 17 of which have come on hard courts, including all 3 of her Grand Slam singles titles: the 2023 Australian Open, the 2024 Australian Open and the 2024 US Open. She looks a calmer, more focused presence on court than in her earlier seasons when she was capable of bouts of rage when the going got tough. I think before, every time I would lose my serve, one game, I could just completely lose the match because I would still be thinking about that first game, she said. Sabalenka said that her struggles in the past with her serve had allowed her to develop a stronger all-round game and more positive mentality. When I was struggling with my serve I had to push myself on the return and had to play with something else. So now, every time I am losing serve I know that I have weapons, that I can return well and that I can break back, she said. I think that challenge really helped me to be more focused and not get too crazy on court after losing a game on my serve, she added. The men's final on Sunday will feature Novak Djokovic up against Czech 19-year-old Jakub Mensik, with the Serb looking for his 100th professional title. Nan. Question isn't why not, it is why now. Akanta Sherith Kamal's time-bending dance and the art of switching jersey for Sweet as he walks off into the sunset following a fabled career. Legendary Indian paddler Sherith Kamal opens up on his plans moving forward while also reflecting on the journey that has redefined a sport for millions across the sprawling nation. The last 3 or 4 repetitions are what make the muscle grow. This area of pain differentiates the champion from someone else who is not a champion. Arnold Schwarzenegger. What is the mark of a champion? Is it about finishing off with a flurry and ending a chapter of your life dedicated to a craft on a high, or is it the tendency to help fledglings on their way to the pinnacle during or after your heyday? While the definitions may vary depending on who you ask and what their inclination is, one thing that stands irrefutable in the measure of greatness in a discipline is the unwavering dedication and joy one finds in gearing up and practicing the limb swings, be it with or without an accessory. And when you have carried the expectation of serving as the poster boy of a sport in a nation as sprawling as India herself for decades on end, it lends your thoughts and emotions a level of credibility as a byproduct of the years of experience of the highs and lows. Legendary Indian table tennis player Akanta Sherith Kamal, who has been synonymous with the sport in the nation since his debut over 2 decades ago, sat down with NEWS18.com ahead of the WTT star contender for an exclusive as he reflected on a career spanning eons and a legacy that will surely hold strong in the annals of the game long after he walks into the sunset. Sherith Kamal has been at the forefront of the sport for longer than the event itself has been in vogue. And the 42-year-old who decided to pull the curtains down on an iconic career at the end of the ongoing WTT star contender event jested about how he crossed the threshold of a retirement age a while ago before elucidating on the factors that kept him pushing past perceptions. Basically, what I keep telling everyone is I'm way past my retirement age. That should have happened around 6 to 8 years ago, but then the highs that I saw in the last 6 to 8 years have been phenomenal. And the highs kept going higher and higher year after year, said the China-born paddle stalwart. The five-time Olympian, who carried the Indian flag at the Creative Paris 2024 Olympics opening rally, revealed that he did not plan to compete at Tokyo, let alone the subsequent one in the French capital city, but the milestone he managed to hit towards the latter part of his storied career ended up boosting his time on the circuit. So, after 2016, I wanted to see what was in stock. I didn't plan for 2020, Tokyo after Rio. I said, okay, let me see, let me take 2 years at a time now, because the Commonwealth Games is coming. After the Commonwealth Games, let me see if I can go in for Tokyo, if my mind is letting me do that. Physically, I've always been a strong athletic guy. Mental part is what is the tougher thing. To have that motivation on the daily grind, getting through that, to those tough losses day in and day out. That was what was challenging. The two-time Asian medalist stated that the bronze medals he clinched in Indonesia in 2018 served to be a milestone and a harbinger of things to come as he turned his sight to Tokyo, which was ultimately pushed a year further into 2021 due to the pandemic. And after 2018 happened, then, I hit a high there at the Asian Games and the Commonwealth Games in 2022. First time in 60 years, got those medals at the Asian Games. Then I thought, okay, let's try it on for another 2 years. And then I thought Tokyo would be the last one. But then, unfortunately, COVID happened and then it moved to 2021, which again gave me another year's time for the Commonwealth Games. Sharith Kamal, who has fond memories of the Olympics in Japan despite not coming back with a podium finish, went on to increase his Commonwealth Games medal tally to an awe-inspiring 13 at the Birmingham edition as he added 4 more medals on English soil, 3 of which were gold, to his already brimming collection of accolades at the Friendly Games. So, 2021. Tokyo happened. I played fantastically well. I had one of my best and most memorable matches there against the Olympic champion Malong. And then 2022, Commonwealth Games was just around the corner. It was just 1 month, 1 year from there. So, it was pretty easy to get there. Sharith Kamal, who iterated that he came to the decision of hanging up his boots during the sporting spectacle in Paris, added that he believes it is time for him to move into the suit-wearing lobbyist role after years in sweat-absorbing jerseys for the ultimate betterment of the game he so dearly loves. Every time I thought about retirement, there was something which got better. So, then at Paris, I thought probably this is my last time coming for the Olympic Games. And then after that, after 2-3 months prior down the line, I felt like, okay, I've done my part as a player. I've contributed as a player. I feel I can give a lot more back as an administrator, as a high-performance director, as a person who's been the face of the sport. I can connect the bridge between the players, the administration, the corporates, the government. And I felt like, okay, now is the right time that I can do it. And I always wanted to go out on a high. That was something which I always thought about 4-5 years ago also. And I'm really happy that I'm doing that even at this stage. So, the question of, it's not why not, it's why now. Sharith Kamal, who hails from a long lineage of coaches, opined that he leans towards the role of an administrator, considering the sheer volume of players on whom he can have an impact on, leveraging the goldust surrounding his name after all his battles at the very top of the sport. I come from a background of coaching. My father, uncle, younger brother, all of them into coaching. They have a lot of academies, and they've been doing this day in and day out for a very long time. So, for me personally, I thought that if I'm going to be a coach, then I'm going to compete with the other coaches. And I might be able to impart knowledge only to a certain group of individuals. But then if I am able to groom the coaches, if I'm able to build up a structure and system which will help Indian table tennis, that is what the bigger picture is. And I felt that the expectations are pretty high. If I become the Indian team coach, of course, it's a good job. It's a respected job. But I feel like I will be focusing only on certain individuals. But I feel like I can give a lot more. I can contribute a lot more to the whole ecosystem as such. Bringing in the corporates, I think that's something which we need. The sport needs financial stability and financial structure. And for that, a face like me, named with the credibility that I come with, needs to be there standing, trying to bridge the gap between the corporates, the administration and the players. When you have endured the test of time like Sharith has, you are bound to experience a marked jump in terms of the sporting landscape, and the 42-year-old reminisced over how long and far the game he loves has come ever since he picked up the paddle as a young, star-eyed lad. Can't compare, he beamed. Can't compare to the times before 2015, let's say. It was more, we were pretty amateurish in the sense, the way the structure was. We would play very few tournaments. I moved into Europe because I needed that kind of a setup. I needed to be in the professional circuit, understand and practice with some of the best players in the world, train with them, and compete against them. Sharith Kamal took pride in the developments the game has witnessed in the nation in the recent past with the emergence of WTT and events trying to push the sport into the mainstream. The veteran paddler also touched upon the necessity to serve as a yardstick against which other nations measure up to as a crucial component in furthering a country's sporting ambitions. And that scenario has changed now from 2016 onwards. A lot of international events are happening in India. The UT has been happening in India. So, the youngsters are also traveling across the globe for many international tournaments. We are not afraid anymore to beat some of the best players in the world. And the most important goal that I see is to be there. Of course, now the target is to beat the best at this very moment. But sooner or later, we have to be the best. There have to be other people who are looking at beating us. We need to get to that situation where we are the best in the business, in the field of sport, table tennis. So, yeah, it's a lot more professional now. There are a lot more opportunities for the players in terms of exposure, training, travel, tournaments, and in terms of acquiring knowledge also. Taking precedent from the leaps and bounds of improvement over the past decade, the TT icon lauded the progressive mindset that seems to be prevalent in the sphere of sports. Kamal's achievements through the ages have served as a beacon of hope and guiding light for the younger generations, who seem to be towing the path the 42-year-old trailblazer left in his wake towards growth and sustenance. I think the path forward looks very bright. And as I say, the last 8 years has been really good for Indian table tennis. And we've set such good benchmarks for the youngsters that, like, let's say, for example, qualifying to the Olympic Games in the team championships or the mixed doubles. Now, it's no more a mere target to just qualify for the Olympic Games, but then looking at, okay, how do we get to the quarterfinals, how do we get to the semifinals, and probably, how do we get that medal? That's how players are also thinking. So, it's a very progressive mindset that the Indian table tennis players are having. And we are inching there. We are slowly moving ahead there. And hopefully, when we have all our resources aligned with the same vision, well, I'll get there pretty soon. With India angling at the unparalleled thrill of being able to host the Olympic spectacle sometime in the near future, Kamal hammered home his excitement over the idea of the same and plans to roll back the years to when he was a spectator basking in the glory of the one true universal language good old-fashioned sport. If India is able to host the Olympic Games in 2036 or 2040 or any time around that time, more than being an administration or any committee there, I would love to be part of the spectators, let's say, and cheer for the Indian kids. And hopefully, the podium finishes there. I think that'll be the dream come true. A dream which I couldn't achieve as a player. But, yeah, of course, again, no regrets from where I've come. I've come a very long way. But again, an Olympic medal is a dream of every athlete who plays sport. As Sharith Kamal turns the lights off on an illustrious career, it is probably befitting that Achilles' road winds down at the place where it all began, his own hometown of Chennai. A bit of a nod to Paulo Coelho's Alchemist. And as he expressed with his retirement announcement, Sharith Kamal's penchant for things coming full circle, stands to mark the beauty in the simplicity of the most important things in life. I think I'm pretty excited. I'll be seeing some friends after 20 years or 30 years. I don't know. Everybody's going to come in and watch me play my final game on the 29th. I'm excited. I'm starting to be a bit emotional. But you know, a lot more excitement that's there. And I'm really happy that I have this opportunity to celebrate my final days as a professional athlete with family and friends back here at home at the very stadium where it all began in 1999. Nan.